The title is the topic. Today I'm talking about an end in sight. This video is a response to Anita's latest Kickstarter update, The Future of Tropes vs. Women, an End in Sight. About a year ago, Anita had another Kickstarter update similar to this one, explaining the current scope of the project and plans for the future, so I was curious if she'd have another update this year. A few days before last year's update, she started stirring up harassment beforehand. I assume she was doing this to draw more attention to herself and her update. She didn't do that this time. She wasn't on Twitter stirring up harassment for this update. I've been very critical of Anita using harassment to push her videos, but she didn't do it this time. Just here for the video? Skip down to the bottom for the next episode in the series. During her last Kickstarter update, she had backers criticizing her for the lack of videos, and in turn she gave excuses. This time around, she gave better explanations for the lack of videos than she previously did, but she also delivered a new video with this update. This part covers some of what she announced in her previous Kickstarter update, about expanding and rebranding, which I assume would explain the new logo. I'm really proud of the work we have done with tropes versus women in video games. We took traditional feminist media criticism and developed our own framework for analyzing and deconstructing games via an accessible and engaging format that appeals to a wide-ranging audience. Is it a traditional feminist criticism? In the panel, How to Be a Feminist, you said you had to learn how to be a feminist. Bell Hooks described the problem as white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. Somewhere along the line, your brand of feminism emerged from traditional feminism. You described choice feminism as a problem where people should sacrifice personal choice for the interest of the greater good. I would not disagree entirely with the concept that choices we make can affect other people in negative ways. However, part of the problem is you believe that many of the differences in gender is a social construct. I think there was a lot to debate on some of the things you claim. As far as appealing to a wide-ranging audience, what I've observed since you started your Tropes vs. Women in Video Games series is they do not appeal to a broad audience, at least within the realm of video game culture. You are, in fact, one of the most controversial figures in video games since Jack Thompson. I'm not equating you to him, so much as stating a fact. Now, setting aside the backlash you normally receive for the standard reasons.
Now, I'm a pop culture critic, I am a feminist, and I'm a woman. And I'm all of these things openly on the internet. So I'm no stranger to some level of sexist backlash.
A lot of the controversy over your video stems from how you represented certain video games you critiqued, as well as questionable things you've done and said over the last few years. That is not how you appeal to a wide-range audience. As I've talked about before, this project took on a life of its own beyond anything I could have conceived of on that spring day 3.5 years ago when I hit publish on a modest Kickstarter. As with many early Kickstarters that were widely overfunded, we expanded the project accordingly, increasing its scope with each stretch goal. I was so excited that you were so excited about feminist media criticism. There was a legitimate interest in what you had to say among certain people. The way you were harassed in the early days was ridiculous. Some of them rallied against you before you even released a video. By the time we started creating the episodes, however, it was clear the project had become an ambitious beast. Each trope started becoming its own multi-part series that took months and months of research and writing and production. So here we are over 3 years later working on a project that I thought was simply going to take 6 months to complete. Here is one thing I observed in your newest video. In the credits, Jonathan McIntosh was not credited as a producer or even a writer. He was only given a special thanks. What I've been saying for the better part of a year is feminist frequency changed when he got involved. One of the earliest examples of this was your Lego series, which was very similar to your current Trope series in structure.
I hope you enjoyed that video. It was probably my most ambitious project to date and took an enormous amount of time to put together.
Jonathan McIntosh was associate producer in that video. With strategic butt coverings, I didn't see as much of the manipulative language. Your representations of games weren't nearly as bad as previous episodes. I don't agree with everything you said, but I didn't feel a need to do a video response to this one. In the About section on Feminist Frequency's website, Jonathan McIntosh used to have a description about him. Now he is nowhere to be found. It's just Anita and more staff bios coming soon. What I've noticed is the less Jonathan McIntosh is involved, the less bullshitting I see. The reality is that tropes took over my entire existence, both personally and professionally. For me, the work of Feminist Frequency has become synonymous with constant daily harassment, death threats, bomb threats, intense public scrutiny, and profound violations of privacy that have spilled over into the lives of my friends and family. I won't disagree with Anita here. Harassment of this nature is not acceptable. Along with all of this came an impossible pressure to never get any detail or fact wrong, even when our research was impeccable. Harassers would act as though we were lying and start wild campaigns to generate more hostility toward us and our work. Here is why I'm going to disagree with you, Anita. You chose to make these massive, widespread claims. Even your Kickstarter video made massive claims about the scope and scale of this project. With the damsel in distress, you were even documenting examples. You also made a lot of claims about video games, one being that their interactive nature could make them potentially more harmful. You never provided enough evidence to support your claims. There is also misinformation in some of your videos, as well as misrepresentations. Work of your nature, which is supposed to be educational tools used in a classroom setting, should be scrutinized for factual accuracy. The enormous amount of stress caused by the harassment, along with how the project unfolded, took a huge toll on my physical and emotional health. I have been dealing with depressive tendencies for the better part of my life, but with my physical health declining and the added pressure of this project, my depression became quite intense. I can't blame you for getting stressed out over the harassment. As far as the project unfolding, you had a plan for shorter videos with a brief description. You didn't intend to originally do these massive videos that would take months to put together. And you made a lot of unsubstantiated claims. It's absurd to lie and manipulate, then blame the people calling you out. Looking back from a place of greater clarity and balance, I don't know how I managed to survive from day to day, let alone how I continued to step into the public eye online, in newspapers and magazines, and even on national television. Many of my personal relationships were strained or collapsing, and getting out of bed every day felt like climbing up a mountain. There was no end. I was going to be doing this Tropes project forever. Forever. Looking back over the previous year, I've seen changes. I'd say some of it was for the better. But if you had done your videos as intended, you would have been done a long time ago. In short, I burned out. In some activist communities, we talk a lot about burnout because so many of us sacrifice our health, our relationships, our personal lives in order to try and make positive change in the world. But I don't believe this needs to be an either-or situation. I realized there had to be a way to balance my health and this project I deeply believe in. That's why I'm making a change to how I complete this project, and I think you will like it. But first, just a recap of what we have done already. And we are currently working on bonus video, Top 10 Common Defenses of Sexism, classroom curriculum and lesson plans. A new video for this update, and you're already working on 2 more projects. I can't complain about that. You're finally delivering instead of making excuses. We plan on completing Tropes vs. Women in video games within the year, but it's going to look a little bit different. Instead of incredibly long videos that focus on one trope and deconstruct hundreds of examples, we are going to break it down into smaller, bite-sized pieces. We're going to publish shorter, more focused episodes by taking the theories and concepts from the remaining tropes and presenting them in 5 to 10 minute long videos around a very focused topic. These are the topics we will create. Titles might change. Well, it may not be the tropes as you intended, but at least they will be closer in nature to what you originally advertised as shorter videos giving a brief description. I still see myself having the normal disagreement with you, however, giving this a closer look, I don't think it's all bad. I'm not saying this stuff is inherently wrong, but at least it would give a game developer something to consider. I'm not saying I agree with everything Anita says, but I don't entirely disagree with her on everything. I've been working hard with my team, and am excited to show you the new format. With no further ado, here's the first episode. I hope you enjoy it. Honestly, this video didn't bother me as much as her older ones. I may have disagreed with some things she said and some examples she used, but I didn't have a burning desire to do a video response and don't plan to do one. In fact, if she keeps going this route, I don't know that I'll do any more responses to tropes versus women in video games. I'm not ruling out the possibility of making any more videos about it, but unless Anita says or does something that I feel like responding to, I won't have much more to say about her videos. And I think the lack of Jonathan McIntosh has drastically improved my ability to tolerate what Anita has to say, but I'll always disagree with her older videos. I'll never be able to fully accept explanations that they were not problematic, which Anita does imply in this Kickstarter update. If you like this video, I have a playlist tackling Anita Sarkeesian and her work and encourage you to check it out. It also includes reviews of her Tropes vs. Women in video game series.
I get a lot of support from people who really like my videos, and they've even been used as educational tools in classrooms. Educational tools.
I leave my audience with one question.
Oh, did I win?